All right. Hello, everyone. This is Michelangelo Hamilton here with the Michelangelo Hamilton Show. And today we are here with the Honorable Daniel H. Sohn. Tonight, he is an elected official, Councilman Daniel Sohn from the town of Haverhill, Florida, in Palm Beach County. Thank you so much for joining us. He is the first LGBT citizen who is elected to the town's council and is the youngest public official in Palm Beach County. It is a pleasure to have you here on this program.
My friend Michelangelo, it's great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, no problem. So talk to us about what you're doing right now as your work as an elected official, and why are you a great activist and doing what you're doing in Palm Beach County?
Well, I don't know if I'm a great elected official. I'm a newly elected official who's hopefully doing great things. You can ask some of my colleagues if that's true, but we're certainly trying to do some great things. I'm just proud of some of the stuff that we've already gotten to accomplish 4 months in. As you know, I was elected this past March, and we really got to work right on day one. We continued knocking on doors after the election, after we won, to continue getting people to come out to our council meetings. One of the reasons I ran was to increase the local participation of my constituents, of the constituency, to come to council meetings. And we successfully have done that. We created a Facebook presence. We created a social media presence, I should say. My town is small but large, but small enough where I can still knock on doors and invite people to different events at the city and the council meetings. And so, I thought that was important. So we've been doing that. So we got a lot going on. I'm sure we'll talk about some of that tonight.
Amazing, amazing. So as I can see, you are doing a lot of great things. You were a executive director for the Safe Schools for Alex Foundation. Do you mind talking to us a little bit about that? And what did you do after the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting?
Sure. Thank you for bringing that up. It's still a very sore subject for many. Certainly for myself, I lost a friend, my friend Drew, in the Pulse nightclub shooting. And so any form of violence, specifically gun violence on the people of the state of Florida, it's still very sad for us. And so as a newly local official on day one, actually on the day I was sworn in, I actually was elected on March 13th. But as you can remember, Michelangelo, February 13th, just a month prior to the day, was Valentine's Day, and it was the shooting of Stoneman Douglas. And so, one of the first things I did, in my swearing-in speech, my first remarks as an elected official, as a sworn-in commissioner, I spoke about how the young people were leading a movement, and how it was going to take the support of new elected officials and older elected officials to get rid of the old and antiquated ideas that we had, and the preconceived ideas of what change really looked like. And I really believe that change is happening in this country because the young people from Stoneman Douglas and from all across the country have joined the movement through March for Our Lives, through the Road for Change. Moms demand action, students demand action. I really believe that because these young people are standing up, that this is not just a moment, it's a movement now. And I think a lot of people would be smart to get on board. As a local official, I am preempted by state law to not do I can't do much. That's not good enough for me. I believe in bold leadership. I believe in political courage. And so that's why I personally joined the lawsuit that many of the elected officials that in your county, from Broward County, joined.
Right.
And I joined, and across the state of Florida, I joined that lawsuit as well. Called the attorneys directly and said, I need to do this. This is the right thing to do. It is sad, MichaelAngelo, that in our state of Florida, that local officials have the ability to pass local law at the county level, local law that allows us to dictate what type of breed of dogs we have in our counties and what type of breeds of dogs we can't have. Local law allows local officials to dictate what type of plants we cannot plant and can plant in our yard, the foliage we can have there. It even dictates what color your mailbox can be. But what we're not allowed to do as local officials is pass local laws that actually do something, like protect our citizens from local gun violence. That's actually against state law. So for those just joining, the state preemption that I'm speaking of is one of 21 preemptions in the state of Florida, but it is the only preemption that comes with a penalty to a local official from passing a law. That preemption will remove a local official from office by removal of the governor, fine the local official up to $100,000, including paying the attorney's fees of the opposite side, and also not allowing us to use the city attorney. And so if you comes to come out of our own pocket, all for just protecting our citizens. And so I think it's appalling. We can do all these things that you really want to get down to it. Frankly, I don't care what someone's color mailbox is. I don't care what type of plant that they plant in their yard. I do not care, what type of dog you have. What I care about is whether I'm able to protect you and whether you're able to protect your families. And by not being able to say that my all residential city, the town of Haverhill is an all residential community, shouldn't be allowed to have an AR-15, that bothers me. So I took the next step and I did the next best thing. I got involved with Moms Demand Action. I got involved with Students Demand Action. I got involved with other organizations, and it led to my hiring as the executive director of Safe Schools for Alex Foundation, founded by Max Schachter, who I know you've seen, and has become an active force in Broward County, and people all across the state have seen. Max is the father of the slain freshman from Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, Alex Schachter. He was one of the first killed in Stoneman Douglas. And so Safe Schools for Alex Foundation is focused on improving the physical infrastructure of our public schools, using Marjory Stoneman Douglas as the pilot, making that the safest school in America, and then taking that model and doing it for every Broward County school, and then sweeping across the state of Florida, and then hopefully across the United States. Safe Schools for Alex has already met with Republican leaders. So as a Democrat leading an organization, we are getting attention of Republican leaders who do want to help, and maybe not help in the way that I politically would want, but hey, it's a start, and I think that's what reaching across the aisle is all about. So I'm excited to be part of that organization, and hope to continue to get them on the right track. Because the truth is, all of our communities across the state and across the country deserve to be safe, a safer place to live, work, play, and go to school.
Absolutely. And, thank you for your all your hard work on that front too, because, as a student, no, that's, as a student, I've been in that situation many times. Ever since I was really little, we were taught, shut down drills, code red, and all that. So, thank you for all your hard work as well. So, talk to us a little bit about the home rule resolution that you passed or helped pass. Talk to us. What is home rule?
Sure. So a lot of people are not familiar with home rule, but how important that is in this state, a state that's surrounded by water on all three sides, a state that has this preemption with the gun law and gun legislation at the local level in place. Home rule is, and if you allow me to, it is the
Sure.
right, sure, it is the right of local taxpayers to define their own destiny. What that basically means is that local officials, local taxpayers can say to their local officials, "This is what we want. We want you to make our decisions and not be dictated to by the state of Florida. You know us best." And so, and that's an accurate statement. And I'll give you a prime example. State leaders who pass state laws, they're doing their job. And many times, North Florida will pass a law that really they don't know how South Florida operates, so they assume it does. So, but when you pass a law, you pass it for the whole state, not just for your district. And so, well, North Florida law, North Florida logic necessarily isn't best for South Florida law. When we talk about climate change and sea level rise, local officials down in Miami, local officials here in Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach, who understand what the effects of climate change, understand the effects of sea level rise. North Florida in central parts of the state, in the middle of our state, don't understand that. Why a law, why we pass the laws we do. They don't understand it as best as we do. And so that's why it's important that we maintain home rule in the state of Florida. And the state of Florida this year is proudly celebrating the 50th anniversary of home rule in the Florida Constitution. Again, that gives the local taxpayers the right to define their own destiny and allow their local leaders to make their rules that they follow, to create the ordinances that they follow. And so I think that's absolutely important. I'm not sure if you've been following, but last legislative session in the state of Florida, Tallahassee brought it hard. We local leaders from all across the state had to get together, go to the state of Florida, go to Tallahassee, and fight for home rule. We came close to losing it, and so it's that important. And I, to be honest, I'm surprised that we haven't. The governor hasn't gotten rid of it within an executive order because it's that powerful. That I was honored that was my first resolution that I was able to recognize. As a matter of fact, I was recognized on Twitter by the Florida League of Cities and the National League of Cities for getting the small town of Haverhill to join a number of other cities across the country for recognizing the 50th anniversary of home rule. We really believe that we should hashtag let cities work, and that's why a copy of the resolution was sent to all 37 cities in Palm Beach County, the Palm Beach County government, the Florida legislature, every member of the Florida legislature, Florida governor, a copy to the Florida League of Cities, Palm Beach County League of Cities, and the National League of Cities, which we garnered some recognition for. So I'm just excited. I'm absolutely excited to continue working for the people at the local level, and that was just one of the first things we were able to do.
That's amazing, and that's very important work. Absolutely. And so you're a very well-known activist, and now you're an elected official. And I want to ask you about the Democracy for America chapter that you helped run in Broward County. Talk to us a little bit about your older days and running that organization.
Sure. I've had some great times with Democracy for America. I believe in progressive leadership. And as a progressive in the Democratic Party, I believe that we need to be electing leaders who are focused on future-friendly policies and not old and antiquated and dated legislation. And I think that it's a step in the right direction when we start electing leaders who recognize that. I think it's a step in the right direction when we start talking about income inequality, when we start talking about healthcare for all, when we start talking about what really white privilege is. And yes, it does exist in this country.
Yeah.
So I think that is absolutely important. And I think those are some of the work that DFA is doing. For those not familiar watching, DFA is Democracy for America. It is the largest progressive super PAC in the country. It was founded in 2004 by former Vermont Governor Howard Dean, also former DNC Chair Howard Dean. I was honored to kind of help bring back the old Broward County group when I was in Broward County. And I had great support from my friends of DFA Miami. My friends, I'm going to give them shout outs, Wendy Seashore, and my friends in Palm Beach County, Hillary Keys and Tom Conboy. They were really my mentors in making sure that Broward County's DFA was successful and got up and running again. And it had previously had a DFA, and we brought it back to life. And we helped elect some great progressive leaders. My political hero, Ann Rich, we elected to the county commission. We also backed her race when she ran for Florida governor. We followed suit with other South Florida DFAs and DFAs across the state in doing that. We elected Kristen Jacobs, environmentalist, former county commissioner in Broward County, to the state house. We elected Evan Jenny, who got reelected in a different district 2 years later to the state house. We elected Andrea Gunderson as a judge in Broward County. And I've had some great time. There's so many others that we supported in their races. And DFA is a people-powered, member-driven organization. You know, what the people say and who they say they want to support, that's what DFA does. So I worked hard, but I had a great team. You're in Broward County, and you recently heard of the passing of a mutual friend of mine, of ours, Janet Burnett. Janet Burnett was Broward. Janet Burnett, for a long time, was on the board of directors for DFA Broward. And I was honored to serve with her as chair. And I would miss my dear friend Janet. I intend to actually be in Broward County for her celebration of life this Friday. And for those watching, I hope you'll join us for her celebration of life. I'm sure that the info is all over Facebook and where you can go. But DFA also helped develop activists, give them tools and training to work on progressive campaigns. We talk about Netroots Nation. That was a big part of that. DFA had a big hand in that. I want to talk a little about the endorsements that they've made since you brought up DFA. DFA has made an endorsement in the Democratic gubernatorial race here in the state of Florida. DFA, a national organization, has endorsed Andrew Gillum for governor. I think that speaks wonders because not only is the national organization coming out for him, you have progressives from all over the country who are coming out for the governor. Now, while I am a proud Democrat and while I personally have endorsed Mayor Andrew Gillum, I do believe that there is still a primary process. And I believe that primary process is something that we must hold dear, something we must cherish. It is something that we also must post-primary support each other in and become unified in. I believe that Democrats have the ability to make their own choices. And I think once we do that, we need to support whoever our nominee is, whether it's Mayor Andrew Gillum or not. And I think that's important to say in this race. So I had a great time at DFA. I've left DFA as the outgoing chair. I will officially leave in the next few months. I did this all as a volunteer. I got to work with some great candidates and great elected officials, and we helped groom so many. And there's many more to come. And so I hope that the new DFA leadership will continue the work that we've done. And I hope that more people will get involved with DFA. It's a great organization to be a part of. And they're really making some moves when it comes to progressive policy across the country.
Amazing. So you've been very active. You've helped get a lot of elected officials elected, along with the DFA organization. So, also something that I'm interested in asking about, as your role as the grants and partnerships for the Farmer Share. Can you talk to us a little bit about the work you did there and,
Sure.
what exactly that's about?
Sure, I wasn't with Farm Share long, but it is an organization that's still dear to my heart. A matter of fact, I'm actually working on a community food distribution with Farm Share as we speak, the host in the town of Haverhill, and collaboration with the city of West Palm Beach and Commissioner Christina Lambert of the city of West Palm Beach. Farm Share is a 27-year-old nonprofit serving the state of Florida. Farm Share's goal is to recover the 40% of Florida crop that goes to waste annually. Now, what does that actually mean? Give you an example. Let's say that this earth right here is a Florida orange, and maybe the Florida orange is a little dented, right? Well,
Right.
there's nothing really wrong with the orange, right? But because it's dented, it's not aesthetically pleasing, so it doesn't go to market. So what happens is many farmers, instead of putting it in the basket, just kind of throw it back into the field, and it's a good orange that just goes to waste. Well, FarmShare doesn't believe that should happen. FarmShare believes that it should be going to the most vulnerable people in the state of Florida at no cost. And so FarmShare works with a number of farms across the state of Florida and all of our major farming communities in the state, and helps recover and get a hold of the fruit that and crop that we grow here, grown straight from Florida, as well as other things like produce and poultry, and so and they get it, they distribute it in free community distributions across the state of Florida, through working with state representatives and senators on both sides of the aisle, working with local city council people, school boards, sheriff's departments, churches, synagogues, you name it. And each distribution can feed up to 500 Florida families at no cost, and up to 500 Florida families per distribution can receive up to 30 pounds of food. So it's great. It's really a great thing, and I encourage people to get involved and to give Farm Share. I'm no longer with them. I was the director of grants and partnerships. I came on board actually very briefly, right after Irma, and so you can imagine, the need that they had across the state. So I still support the organization. I'm still working with them, not in a official employee capacity, but my heart is with Farm Share. I love the organization, and I encourage people to get involved with it.
Absolutely. So, also, talk to us about, what is it like, being an elected official? Any other comments you have about the primary race coming up?
Sure. Um, it's not the first time that I had ever received a piece of mail from an elected official. Um, uh, Through my work with DFA, through my work with all the nonprofits I work with and charities, and I've received letters from state representatives and county commissioners and state senators, so and so forth. And um, it's so different, though, MichaelAngelo, to actually get a letter addressed to you as the Honorable Daniel Sohn. Um, what an honor. Um, my first letter addressed to me was a congratulatory letter from none other than United States Congressman Alcee Hastings from Broward County. And what an honor it was to receive a letter from him, but thanking me for my work and also recognizing how hard I worked to get there. But to get there in order to represent people at their best and at their worst. And I think that as Representative Hastings, along with so many others from across the state, a lot of from Broward County, believe it or not, newly re-elected Mayor Judy Paul also sent me a letter. And so many others. I don't want to leave anybody out, but so many others from across the state. It was great. But that being said, being an elected official is interesting. But being an LGBT elected official and the youngest elected official, as you stated in the opening, public official in Palm Beach County, it has weight for me. The community I come from, the LGBTQ community, and the community of young culture, young people in politics, young people in the country, in the state of Florida, in South Florida, young people and LGBTQ people are still fighting for equal representation, and with elected leadership. And I think that on election night, March 13th, when we did make history, and I think that it was a step in the right direction for the town of Haverhill, and for Palm Beach County. I believe that I am now duly able, to represent the LGBT community. I am also able to represent young people, and so much to the fact that I have joined an organization that I've been wanting to be a member of for so many years, called the Young Elected Officials Network. Happened to be founded by Mayor Andrew Gillum of our capital city in Tallahassee. In 2004, when he became a first-time city councilman at the age of 23, and he founded it under the auspices of the People of American Way Foundation. And the organization has grown to a national-wide movement of young leaders aged 35 and under, who are nonpartisan, progressive, looking at future first policies focused on smart growth and healthcare for all and wage equality, so many things. And so I'm honored to be a part of that network and to get some of that training and to collaborate and to attend those conferences with so many other peers like me, many who are LGBT, many who are African American, many who are actually Muslim and women, and transgender. And I think that's so important. And so that's what it's like to be a young elected official in 2018 for me. I have so much to learn, but yet I'm so proud of the history we've already made, and I owe a lot of that debt to a lot of people.
Absolutely. And you're doing great work. And is there any way people can follow you, where people can get in touch with you over the next couple of years, or
Absolutely. First, I want to answer your other question about primaries. I have fully endorsed Roy David Walker, running for Florida Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services in the state of Florida. I believe that R. David is the scientist that we need in Tallahassee. I believe that department strongly needs someone who understands sea level rise, understands the decay of the orange industry in this state, someone who understands that sugar is an industry that is going to remain, but that we don't have to be held hostage by their prehistoric and policies that hurt our environment. I believe he will stand up to Big Sugar. I also believe that he will fight for Florida consumers. For so long, Florida consumers haven't had an empathetic leader in the Florida Capitol. And I believe that R. David Walker is that empathetic leader. That's why I'm standing by him. That being said, primaries in 21 days. No matter who we are going to support on the Democratic ticket, and I'm speaking to you Democrats directly now, no matter who you're going to support, it is absolutely imperative that after August 28th, that on August 29th, we come together and we unify. We elect the Democratic nominee for each state race, for each state house, state senate race, and our local county commissions and governments. I am so serious, so important. This is really where we didn't do so well in 2016. We had a nominee and we didn't come together. That was Hillary and Bernie supporters alike. And so I think we need to change that narrative. I think this is the time to do that. I believe that our country deserves Democrats and needs Democrats to lead this fight. And so, we need to start building that bench. So we need to reelect Bill Nelson. But while he's in office the next 6 years, we need to identify who is going to take that seat 6 years from the time he is reelected. We need to figure out and groom the next person to be our next United States Senator after we reelect Bill Nelson, who will serve 6 more years. I think that's so important. And while I'm talking about Bill Nelson, I want to tell you this. Everyone who is listening and watching, it is imperative that we elect a proven sitting senator who went to space and not a failed Republican governor who went to Mar-a-Lago. Listen to those words. Picture it in your mind. We need someone who works for us and works for our environment in the United States Capitol. And so that being said, I don't know where I'm going to be in 2 years. I'd like to see if I could be mayor of my city. But here's how you can follow me, as Michael wanted me to tell you. Website's danielsohn.com, danielsohn.com. Facebook and Twitter are both at Daniel FORFL, Daniel for Florida, Daniel FORFL. I always believe in fighting for people, for fighting what is right. Bold leadership and political courage are what I stand for, and I will continue to help elect other leaders who share those same beliefs. And Michael, I just want to take time. I know we're getting time to close, but I want to thank you because I've watched you and I've seen what what you're doing in Broward County, and you are having a plethora of elected officials and candidates doing your part to elect people across this country, and I think that is bold and in itself. I want to do everything I can to help you succeed as well, and so you have a friend in me. You can call on me. And I'll be there. So with that, I want to say thank you for having me on tonight. It was absolutely a pleasure and an honor.
Absolutely, anytime, and I really appreciate the conversation. Is there like background? Is there like cars going?
Not by me.
No? Okay. Because I hear a lot of background.
I'm in office at 7:30 at night.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. We had a great discussion, and I hope you all the best of luck over the next couple of years in your position over there, and I'll definitely be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, MichaelAngelo.